everyone. We are happy to be back after the weekend. Hope you guys were able to enjoy some time in the beautiful weather if you are in North America. Same thing if you're in Australia. I know some of you guys are still in warm places, some of you are in some colder places, but I hope you're enjoying it nonetheless. And today we have a couple things to talk to you about. I know last week we went into all the doom and gloom about toxins and chemicals in a lot of our personal care products, our household products, all those things. But today we have some positive solutions and alternatives to share with you so that you can reduce your overall toxic load. But before we get started, we have some really exciting news. If you didn't notice in this event post for today, we are having a Beauty Counter live launch event on Thursday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So we're super excited about that because Casey and I wanted to be able to recommend a really good product or products for skincare and makeup that is just a really great alternative to our conventional skincare and makeup products that we often find in the market and that are just commonplace. So, because Casey and I talk all the time about reducing our toxic load, avoiding toxic chemicals in the various products that we use on our skin, our face, our body, our hair, the food we put into our bodies, our environments, all those things, we wanted to be able to recommend a great, clean skincare and makeup option for our community. So on Thursday night, we're going to be talking all about Beauty Counter, this amazing company that gives us clean beauty products that are very safe to use. And they do wonderful things as well for our environment. And we're going to be talking about Beauty Counter and all about the different things that they can teach us about cleaner, safer skincare and beauty products. So make sure that you register for that event. If you are interested in those things, you can attend live on Zoom. So you won't be able to watch this from the Facebook group. You'll actually have to choose the link, click on the link that is in our post, and you're going to have to register for the event. You're going to be emailed the Zoom link to join us live. So it's going to be lots of fun. There's going to be prizes and discounts, and it'll just be a really great time to learn about new things and do some shopping if that's something that resonates with you. So anything you wanted to add about that event, Casey?
No, that was perfect. I like how you said too that it won't be streamed into our groups as well. So this is something that you do need to attend live and do. So let's get into alternatives and toxins.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like I said, last week it was kind of doom and gloom. We talked about all the different chemicals that and toxins that are found in a lot of the products we use in our daily lives. And today we're going to talk about all the healthy alternatives that you can have instead to reduce your overall toxic load. Now, I know that this can be a little overwhelming at first. I know it was for me. So we're not saying immediately replace everything that you already have. We're just saying, here's something to be aware of. And then these are some things that you may want to switch over to over time. So, for example, maybe once you're done with your current body lotion, you're going to try a more natural alternative next when you need to go and refill that. So,
Yeah.
think about a kind of like a gradual replacing of things.
Yep.
So let's look at some of the everyday things that we use that have toxic chemicals in them and what we can do to reduce that and some alternatives. So plastics, that's a big thing. I
Yeah.
know a lot of us use reusable containers to store our leftovers in, to pack our lunch in for the day. And plastics that we talked about last week have a lot of different chemicals in them that can leach into our food, especially if you're reheating them in a microwave. We want to avoid that. So what we recommend is getting glass containers. So the really nice glass containers that you can get that have the little clip-on lid that has a really nice seal on them. Those ones I really prefer because they're airtight. If heaven forbid you were to drop them, hopefully it wouldn't break. The lid's not just going to pop off. So that's a really nice alternative. And also things like I always have a water bottle with me everywhere I go, and I choose stainless steel. There's also glass water bottles that you can get
Mhm.
that have kind of like a rubber netting around them to protect them from breaking as well. So those are really great alternatives to having plastic water bottles, either the reusable ones or the ones that you can, that are disposable. So not only is it better for the environment, it's also a lot better for us.
Yeah,
So
one thing I want to add to that is if you're not a fan of glass, I have glass containers, but another thing I use is silicone baggies. So instead of like the plastic reusable ones or plastic just throwaway ones, I use reusable silicone ones to put leftovers in to bring in my backpack if I'm going to a coffee shop or something, and it's less weight than a glass container is, and it's more you can fit it in smaller areas as well because it's not as clunky. And silicone is said to be safer than plastic as well. So you can find those literally at any grocery store, at least can here. You can also find them on Amazon, and they come in all different sizes, gallons, small, snack, little tiny ones. So that would just also be another option as well.
I love that because I know a lot of people, especially myself, initially was like, "Oh my gosh, these containers are so much more heavy to put in
Yeah.
my lunchbox,
Yeah.
to carry around." So having that silicone option is awesome.
Yes.
Another thing we want to avoid is nonstick pans because of the toxic coating. I understand, of course, when we're cooking, we don't want to have our food sticking to the pans. It's super annoying. One of the things that I absolutely love is cast iron pans. That's
Mm-hmm.
in our house. You have to season them. Yes, it takes a little bit of doing, but not a whole lot of work. You just season them with oil and heat them up, and they just make their own nonstick coating. So, great alternative to the nonstick pans, and also stainless steel cookware is also
Yep.
good. So you just have to use some oil, like a good quality oil. And I know Casey and I are going to be talking about that next week, which oils to avoid and which ones are really great alternatives for cooking and for just recipes in general. So, using some oil, avocado oil is a great one, coconut oil, even some good quality tallow or lard on your pans when
Mhm.
you're cooking so that it creates that nonstick surface.
Yep, exactly. I inherited my stainless steel from my great grandma, and that was said to be like the quality stainless steel, like back in the day before we've altered all of these things and made them cheaper and added things to them. So I mean, they are in mint condition and they last forever, obviously. So if you need to invest in some stainless steel, you can pass them down to child to child to child to child, and you will have your investment back for sure.
Amazing.
Um, another another toxin that we can find alternatives to is your household cleaning products. So things like laundry detergents that we use weekly, right? That just linger on our clothes. Things like soaps that we use daily, a couple times a day. That being in the shower or after you use the restroom or just need to wash your hands, and disinfectants. So things that we clean our kitchen, our bathroom, our living room with, the Windex, the other disinfectants, the Lysol. I mean, all of those things. So we've named a couple brands that we find are a better solution. We're not saying they're perfect. We're not saying they'll work the way you want them to, but they're worth trying and trying out the different brands. So I'm in the US obviously, and Jessica's in Canada, and we both agreed on these brands, so they should be pretty prevalent wherever you are or on Amazon. The Myers brand, they have a whole what's the word I'm looking for, company full of soaps and cleaning things, all of that. Norwex is a good cleaning product. Seventh generation, they have soaps and laundry detergents and cleaners. Um, the store brand of a Whole Foods or a Target sometimes have really good natural alternatives. Ecos, And then you can simply just use vinegar and water and or add some essential oils to that, and that will clean your floors, that will clean your mirrors, that will clean your vanities. It's really a all-purpose cleaner that is cheap and easy to mix together in a hot minute. So um, if we are talking about essential oils, because now we are, I would buy a non-toxic brand. So if you look at the ingredient label of essential oils, which may sound silly looking at an ingredient label of essential oils, but do so please, because they do have a lot of toxins in them if you don't buy the right quality. So there's a lot of man-made chemicals in there that can increase our toxin load. I have multiple chemical sensitivities, so my eyes water. I get a headache, and it's not a fun time. So buy high quality essential oils that only has the lavender or the peppermint in it or whatever you're looking for, and none of that other BS stuff that's in there.
Yeah. And can I add something to that too, Casey?
Yeah.
A lot of those cleaning products we just mentioned as well, or even if you're just looking at your grocery store or even Costco has some good brands as well, look at their ingredient label. If they have something that says fragrance or parfum is another word that's in there,
Mhm.
if it doesn't have a little asterisk on there that says from organic natural sources, like
Yeah.
meaning essential oils or saying it's actually from essential oils, don't get that. That means it's going to have an artificial fragrance. And like Casey was saying, artificial fragrances, they can just wreak havoc on a
Yep.
person. So headaches, and the scary thing too, which I didn't know until a few years ago, was like hormonal disruptions.
Yep.
So avoid that like the plague and get
Mhm.
naturally scented with essential oils or just scent free. And also when it comes to cleaning, just because it's not sudsing up a whole bunch doesn't
Yeah.
mean it's not cleaning.
Yep.
Well, that's a
We've
really
been
good to know.
Yeah, we've been accustomed to like think that way, that if it doesn't bubble, that it doesn't clean. That is so not true. And it's the same thing with toothpaste, right? So when I first started using natural toothpaste, it wasn't no toothpaste like the crest, like not foams, but it makes like a there's a lot there when you brush your teeth. But when you use like a Dr. Bronner's or a Tom's, it's more, I want to say like liquidy. It's not as like thick. And I was thinking like, oh my gosh, this isn't cleaning my teeth. It's just a myth that we've been accustomed to think because of all of these toxic products foaming and having that visualization to it.
Yeah.
So I'll just touch on toothpaste now that I'm on the topic of it. So we want to use a non-fluoride toothpaste because the fluoride is a heavy metal, which is a toxin. And we get fluoride in other areas in our life. So why do we keep using fluoride and increasing our toxin load when we can swap some of the fluoride out because our body needs fluoride. Don't get me wrong. Like if we're deficient in fluoride, some things are going to happen, but we're already getting it in our water. Unfortunately, we're getting it through other sources as well. So some fluoride-free toothpaste that Jessica and I like or that we've seen on the shelves is Dr. Bronner's, is Tom's, Jason, and Burt's Bees. So these have other products as well, not just toothpaste, but those seem to work pretty well and have pretty good flavors if you're a flavor person with toothpaste.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll just hop back to personal care products again. So, when I talk about personal care products, I'm talking about everything. Well, we just talked about toothpaste, but basically everything we put on our body. So, our lotions, our shampoo, our conditioner, the skincare that we use on our face, the cosmetics that we use, things like nail polish,
Mhm.
hair products, all of these things get absorbed into our body. So anything we put on our skin, whether or not, we're rinsing some of it out with shampoo and conditioners, we're still absorbing a lot of that into our skin, which goes into our bloodstream. So
Mhm.
course, we want to make sure that what we're putting on our skin isn't full of toxins and chemicals that can cause irritation and inflammation and all sorts of other yuck things. So that's again why Casey and I are doing our beauty counter live event on Thursday night, because we want to be able to show you guys a clean alternative to makeup and skincare. Because I know myself, especially, I have been using skincare forever. It's just a part of my daily routine, all the different lotions and serums and things that I use on my skin, as well as cosmetics. I love lipstick and lip gloss. I love having a concealer or a powder and blush and mascara, and I like eyeliner and all these things. So because we're putting all these products onto our faces and on our skin, we want to make sure that it's a clean and safe alternative. So Beauty Counter, which we'll be talking about on Thursday night. Burt's Bees also has a really large range of cosmetics and skincare. And there's another brand I really love for soaps. I use for body wash, hand soap. It's called Everyone brand. They also have really nice lotions. They come in pretty big bottles and they're relatively inexpensive. So here in Canada, I can get like a really big bottle for about $16 for shampoo or lotion. They are only scented with essential oils. They smell great. They're really, really nice to use. But I'm lucky in Canada here. We have just at some of our larger grocery stores, we have health food sections. And so I can go in there, and not only do they have like health foods, like alternative foods, but they also have all the alternative household products like cleaning products, laundry detergents, and they also have all sorts of supplements, and they have things like all sorts of lotions, shampoos, conditioners, skincare, all sorts of stuff. So I have like quite a few different options of where I can search for these things. Even local health food stores can have great alternatives for personal care products. So just check those out in your local community. And if not, yes, there's different places online that you can go as well for those options.
Yeah, exactly. Another thing is too much alcohol and caffeine. So we mentioned that on Thursday as well. So some options for that would be decaf in relation to the caffeine. I quit coffee 7 months ago, maybe a little bit more than that now, and I just simply use chicory root and steep that every morning. It tastes like coffee for me, and it's a prebiotic fiber. It is non-caffeinated. It is good for detoxing, all the things. So I would highly recommend that. For alcohol, club soda is a really good alternative because we often like having something in our hand at parties or just at home. And usually some alcoholic beverages are carbonated, so that club soda kind of takes care of that placebo effect, I would say. And you can always put lemon and lime or ginger, just spruce it up a little bit, do the mocktail thing. Kombucha would be another good alternative. Tea and matcha. There's also companies out there for non-alcoholic, like mocktails, basically with adaptogens and herbs and all the bitters, all the good things in them, just without the liquor. So you can invest in that as well, and they ship it right to your door, and they're really tasty. I've tried one company at least. So there's definitely ways to cut back or just eliminate altogether with still getting that fix that you like.
Yeah, absolutely. So going back to some other household things that many of us have, things like air fresheners, scented candles. So again, artificial fragrances can cause a host of problems, allergic reactions, sensitivities. I know for me, I just get a headache and I get a stuffy nose, I get itchy eyes and they're puffy, headaches sometimes depending on what it is. So when we're looking at things like candles and air fresheners, we want to make sure those are based from essential oils. So even sometimes people can have sensitivities to essential oils. That's not uncommon either. But if you want something that is natural, that's not chemically made, you're going to want to have 100% soy candle wax. and scented with essential oils. So, or if you have a diffuser, I have a diffuser at home that I really like from Sage brand. And it has, I just buy 100% essential oil blends for that. You mix it with water, and then it just makes your house smell lovely. So, another thing is, instead of having air fresheners in the bathroom, use the bathroom fan, have the window open to have good air quality and hopefully to prevent mold from happening in your bathroom as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of essential oils, air fresheners too, for your car, for your house. Again, just make sure you're putting that pure essential oil in there, but there's tons of alternatives. I know for me, when I get in an Uber with a bulk of those tree air fresheners, I try to just hold my breath the whole way because it is bad news bears of how I'm going to feel afterwards. Um, so the next thing would be microwaves. I already went on my tangent on Thursday. I will save you from that today. Use the stove or oven. Go old school with this. You can always make popcorn on the stove. I think it tastes better if you're a popcorn person. You can do anything from those two sources. I have 3 air fryers as well that I love to use, and you can heat things up in them as well. Lots of alternatives.
Yeah, and I even have it's a toaster oven. So I'm sure some of you are familiar with them. It's just kind of like a little countertop mini oven that you can make your toast in if you want, and then it has like a broiler function, a bake function. That's great too if you don't want to heat up your whole oven. If you're just heating up
Yeah,
leftovers, you can just put it in a little glass container in there and heat it up gently that way.
exactly.
Use less power and just simpler.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I guess why don't we talk about some like work environments? Obviously, some of this is going to be out of our control, but just to be aware of your surroundings and where you work. So, again, things like people wearing perfumes and colognes and scented, skincare products in the office. Sometimes that can give us major headaches. Might be something to talk to the powers that be in the office about, having a scent-free policy. I know here in Canada, a lot of places are scent-free,
Hmm.
government buildings, medical places, doctors' offices, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's also possible to have mold in buildings, depending on where you live, the quality of the building. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that too, Casey? I know we don't see that very often here because I live in a very, very dry climate.
Yeah.
Um, and you're in Florida though, so I think that's a little more prevalent.
Yeah. Mold, whether it's at work or at your house, at your household. So things to be aware of if you think you have mold, or just to kind of be aware, is if you live in a more humid climate. Things like Austin, Texas, or Florida here, other places as well, are very damp. You also want to look for if you have a lot of carpet. So if there's a lot of carpet at your work environment or at home, you probably do have some chances, a higher chance of mold. Um, has there ever been a leak in your work environment or your home? There's probably some mold brewing there if it wasn't taken care of. Very prevalent in the bathroom because it does get humid and damp in there. So make sure you have a good working fan, make sure your doors are open, window, things like that. Things that can help though is an air purifier. So if you need to put a little one at your desk at work, if you need to put one in your room or your bathroom or your basement at home, do so. There's better quality ones out there than some. Some are better than others, is what I mean to say. So do your research, look at reviews, look at how many rooms that air purifier spreads. So I have one in my kitchen because I don't have a fume hood thing for my stove. So I use that for like air quality in there when it smokes. But that one only goes for like a certain square feet. So it's like 600 square feet. So make sure you're reading that and what room you're wanting to put it in, because it won't do the whole house.
And another thing too you might want to look into is a dehumidifier.
Mhm.
I know that's really common for people to use them in basements, even in Saskatchewan, where I'm from. Sometimes basements can get damp. So a dehumidifier can be a really great option to keep that humidity low.
Exactly. So even though you might not see mold, which I think we all know what mold looks like, either black or the regular type of mold, that doesn't mean that it's not there. So it's a tricky little fungus. So if you're feeling some type of way or you haven't been getting better with doctors or diet or medicine, whatever your goal is, it might be some mold toxicity as well.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and then the air purifier will help with the chemicals and the scents as well, and to kind of clear that up in your workspace too.
Thanks. So, talking more about workplaces as well. So, people who have, janitorial type jobs, cleaning jobs, if you're a hairstylist or work in a hair salon, if you're a mechanic, if you're working in mines or various different factories, you can also be exposed to a lot of chemicals. So, again, like Casey was saying, having an air purifier at your station might be a good thing if that's possible, just to be aware of that. And if you are someone who is exposed to different various chemicals and things like that in your workplace, then I think, it could be a really great option for you to really double down on reducing your toxic load in your own home environment and with your personal care products.
And detox is to increase those detox foods that we went over in on Thursday too. And there's a lot of supplements you can take to help those detox pathways open up and to excrete. So you can always talk to us about that as well.
Yeah. And Casey, do you want to talk about EMFs?
Love EMFs. Love talking about them. Don't love them in general. It's EMFs is kind of something new that we're all talking about, but it's been studied for a while now. But it's things like your Wi-Fi, the microwaves, the Bluetooth, the wireless, the radiation everywhere, and it affects our homeostasis in our body. It affects the balance in us. It affects neurocognitive issues. It affects our hormones. It affects cortisol, sleep, insulin, high blood pressure, literally everything. And there's a lot of people that are very, very sensitive to it, and they haven't ever been fixed or healed before. And then when they reduce their EMF load by wearing certain types of clothes, by living on a farm, by using cord keyboards and mouses instead of the cordless, by turning off their Wi-Fi, by moving the refrigerator and the microwave to a certain spot in the area of their home, they get better. So the reason we're mentioning this is because it can be a toxicity in your house. And if you've tried everything and you're still not getting better, check your EMF load. There's specialty doctors out there that do just that, and they need to be trained on it. So they're out there and there is support. I think that's all I really need to go into on that, but just wanted to plant some seeds in your head.
Yeah. And then I'm just going to jump back to BPA. So we did talk about this last week. This is why we recommend glass and stainless steel products and containers, just like food containers and water bottles. So BPA is a chemical that is found in plastics and cans. And so we really don't want to leave hot or really cold materials in plastics or cans. So especially if you ever buy bottled water in plastic, don't let it ever get hot, and don't microwave your plastics. So when they get warm, it's just going to leach the chemicals that are in it into your water or your food. So anything you wanted to add about that, Casey?
I mean, buy BPA free, but as we said on Thursday, it's not a safe all approach. So just go all together with the glass and the stainless steel if you can.
Yeah.
The last one would be heavy metals. So we talked about this with the fluoride, but there's heavy metals such as lead, arsenic, aluminum, things like that. So some alternatives would be for aluminum. Aluminum is in deodorants, people. So something we put on once a day, twice a day. If you're super sweaty, maybe 3 or 4 times a day. But there's alternatives to that. So there's aluminum-free deodorants out there, and some brands would be Beauty Counter that we're talking about tomorrow night. Um,
Thursday,
prime, what?
Thursday night, 2 nights.
Thank you. What is this week? I don't know. Um, Thursday night, and then Primally Pure is the one I've been using for a couple years now, and they're great. Native would be another one. Jessica said Green Beaver. I haven't heard of that one in the States here, but it might be a Canadian thing. So those are some good ones that we've seen on the shelves. We can't say that it will work for you though, because everybody has a different biochemistry. So you need to try out different ones that work with your pores, that work with the sense of your sweat and all of those yummy things that go on in our bodies. So it took me a couple deodorants to actually find one that works, but it was worth it because I don't want to keep putting aluminum um, on my skin, but also the antiperspirant effect is also pretty toxic too. So if you buy the triple duty antiperspirants so you don't sweat for 3 days, that's toxic. And it's because it clogs your detox pores, and we need to detox to excrete toxins. So that would mean it's clogging up everything in your armpits so you don't sweat. We may sweat on our skin some more. We may cry, which is a form of excreting toxins. Also, we go to the bathroom, but it's just one detox pathway that you're clogging, and it's not good. Another heavy metal would be arsenic, and arsenic is in rice. So, right, it's naturally occurring in rice. So, what you would want to do to get most or some of that arsenic out of there is just soak that rice in water. And I forgot for how long. I'm not a rice person. It is either for like 3 hours or 3 days. I can't remember, but look it up. And that's in white rice and brown rice. I want to say that brown rice has more arsenic levels than white rice, but don't quote me on that. Um, Aluminum foil would be another source of aluminum, going back to that. So things like parchment paper would be a better option because once that aluminum oil is cooked or heated, I mean, and let's say you wrap that aluminum oil foil in a baked potato. Well, now that baked potato has some aluminum in it, which is pretty gross, in my opinion. Big fish also have higher counts of mercury in there. So big fish, we want to stick to smaller fishies because they'll have less toxins in them, which is like anchovies, sardines, mussels and oysters, clams, flounder, haddock, catfish, salmon, rainbow trout, Atlantic mackerel, herring, and pollock. So there are tons of choices out there. Don't go out into the ocean and eat a shark because the toxin loads of that shark is probably huge because he's been eating all of these fish that is just increasing all of his toxin load with what those other fish had. So I think we're at time, and I think that concludes our alternatives today, right?
Yeah, no, I think we covered a lot there. So we're curious to hear your questions. I know we covered a lot today. So definitely let us know if you have anything that you wanted to ask about what we talked about today. Just comment on the post below. And again, if you are interested in clean skincare and beauty products, join us on Thursday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern Time using the link that was in this post earlier. Like I said before, it's not going to just be live streamed into the group. You'll actually have to register, and then you will get a Zoom link to attend that live. So if that's something you're interested in, please join us. If not, that's cool too. We're going to be back on Thursday morning with another special guest. So hope you can join us then.
Bye, everybody. Have a good rest of the day.
Take care, guys.